We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Saturday. I'm all alone today. We have a bunch of emails. We'll get to those. Um, Big night last night. I spent the evening babysitting my granddaughter with my wife. We had a hell of a good time. My granddaughter, as you know, she is a lot. She's busy. She's a smart aleck and she talks a lot. Sound familiar? Yeah, unfortunately, she looks like my wife and acts like me. And I don't know if that's going to be a promising combination or not. Thank God she's cute because that'll get her through a lot of things. But we had a good time. Later today, we're going to go down to the park with her and have some more fun. So it's exciting times for me. When you're a retired guy, those kinds of things are the kinds of things that you look forward to. Of course, we're dealing with all the stuff, the um, overflow of bullshit with Donald Trump's election, and now all the people that he's proposing to appoint to various jobs. We'll talk more about that later. Every one of them is a fucking clown show. Every one of them has little, if any, chance to clear approval in the Senate, especially Matt Gaetz. That's an interesting one. We'll talk more about that too. Here's a guy that was investigated by the DOJ, and now they're proposing that he lead the DOJ. Well, that sounds fucking brilliant. I think a lot of people believe that Donald Trump is just throwing him out there to throw up a smokescreen. So the next one that comes along, even though they might be or will probably be crazy, they'll feel relieved that it's not Matt Gaetz. I don't know. I think that gives Donald Trump too much credit for strategy and intelligence. I don't think he's that smart. I think he's very reactive, very emotional. And as much as he won the election, he's in for a lot of disappointments and he's in for a lot of embarrassments. And remember, that's the one thing that Donald Trump or any narcissist hates more than anything: being embarrassed, being made to look like a fool. And frankly, he's starting to look like a fool if his own Republican Senate won't approve his candidates for his cabinet. Anyway, we'll start right in with some emails, see what's happening. You know, it becomes harder and harder to do more and more emails because I've got all these guests. And I'm glad I have the guests because they offer interesting perspectives. They add to the show quite a bit. So I'm always anxious to have a guest on. But that means I've got to catch up with the emails like I'm going to today. First one comes from Cress. Now, you remember Cress. He was on the show just a short time back. He says, "Hi, Mike. I was completely wrong about Florida flipping to blue and Rick Scott losing the Senate race. What the fuck?" Yeah, so was I. So was pretty much everybody. Don't worry about it, Cress. We all got it wrong. You shouldn't have to take the heat. I took some heat for it, and there were bigger creators that took a lot more heat for it. But, you know, people get disappointed and they want to lash out. I explained to them, you're going to blame me for Donald Trump winning the election. I may be wrong for predicting how it's going to turn out, but my problem wasn't affecting the election. Some people thought it did, though. They thought because I felt so positive, a lot of people didn't come out and vote. Really? Do you think 15 million people didn't come out to vote because I said that it was a sure thing? First of all, I didn't say it was a sure thing. Second of all, that wasn't the issue. You know, it's not the issue. It was Gaza. It was a black woman. It was a South Asian woman. It was all kinds of fucking things. All we can do is read the facts and tell you what should happen based on those facts. Again, I'll just say this: where I ended up wrong and where a lot of us ended up wrong, we never in our wildest dreams imagined that the Democrats themselves would take a shit on their own shoe. But that's exactly what happened. And I've talked about this a lot. You know, part of it is the Israeli Hamas war and the innocent people, the Palestinians in Gaza, and what's happening to them. These people were angry at Joe Biden. They called him Genocide Joe because they didn't think he was doing enough. Well, he was doing all he could. Israel's an ally. There are certain things we're required to do because they are an ally, in spite of the fact you want what you want when you want it. It doesn't work that way. Grow the fuck up. But here's the interesting thing. Some of these people that were worried about those Palestinians in Gaza are now begging Joe Biden to do something. Now, Joe Biden will do everything he possibly can, but they're now begging Joe Biden to do something, which I find very ironic, given the fact they were trying to punish Joe Biden by not voting for him, knowing full well that Donald Trump would be the winner. And now that Donald Trump is the winner, they're looking around going, holy fuck, we fucked up. And they know they fucked up because and I told you this before this election. It's not like nobody had a chance to know this. These people just refused to believe it, didn't listen, or couldn't comprehend it. Not sure which it was, but that's exactly what happened. Donald Trump is best buddies with Bibi Netanyahu. Yeah, he'll want to get this thing wrapped up quickly, but the way he's going to do it is give Bibi Netanyahu whatever he needs and full carte blanche to do whatever he wants. They're going to go try to wipe out Hamas, but in the process, they're going to kill a lot of Palestinians in Gaza, innocent people. Bibi Netanyahu doesn't care. Donald Trump doesn't care. You folks act like you care, but you did the exact thing that was going to get these people murdered. I hope you're happy now. You can't call it back. You can't call a do-over. You're stuck. And when this happens, the blood is on your motherfucking hands. All right. Next one comes from somebody, Dr. Ruth. Now, it's not that Dr. Ruth. The older folks will remember that that doctor that was a sex expert, this small little elderly lady that talked about sex on TV talk shows. I think she's long gone now. She was kind of funny, kind of cute. Anyway, this is a different Dr. Ruth. Hi, Boomer. On Occupy Democrats, there was a YouTube video with Vincent Gallo talking about Kamala signaling that she is doing the work to challenge Trump's victory. Evidently, has to do with closely watching the counting currently going on and many suspicious details, which include past breaches, Starlink, and bomb threats from Russia that were only in Democratic precincts. Have you seen this? Thanks, Dr. Ruth. Yeah, I've seen it. I haven't paid too much attention to it because some Democrats are starting to sound like Republicans. I'm not saying there couldn't have been some sketchy things happening, but I'm not going to jump on that fucking bandwagon until we have some evidence. Somebody actually speaks out and says it. There are people making speculations on what they've heard or what they thought they heard or what they thought they've seen. I'm not saying they're wrong, but you're really hanging yourself out to dry if you jump on these bandwagons. And let's say there is something wrong, something sketchy. The next thing I'm concerned about, will the DOJ, will the Democrats actually do anything? I'm not convinced they will. I don't know what's with them. DOJ and Merrick Garland certainly aren't going to do anything. So, yeah, I've seen it. I'm not getting too excited about it because I haven't seen anything to validate it. When I do, then I'll get excited. But I don't want people to get all worked up about something that's never going to occur. And I can't say for sure because I don't know anything about it. I don't think anything is going to come out of it, unfortunately. I know we want it that way. I would love to see that. But based on how the Democrats react to things and how people are talking about these breaches, much like the Republicans did, and we know there was nothing to the Republicans one. I mean, it's just human nature. When you lose something, you look for people to lash out against, and you look for reasons or excuses for that loss. Now, understand, Donald Trump and the Republicans are fully capable of being unethical and somehow gaming the system. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were successful. But again, we've got to have the evidence, and we've got to have somebody willing to do something about it. We've got, 9.5 weeks until January 20th? Let's see if something happens between now and then. I know on TikTok, we got all these astrologers and psychics saying, oh, did you feel it? Did you feel it? There's that shift. No, I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it at all, and I've got no evidence that any of the bullshit that you're saying is true. Give me some evidence, and then I'll get excited. All right. Now that I've brung you down a little bit, Mike, been watching the YouTube video, The Power of Thirst, Thirst for Clarity, by the analogy clarity is water. The thirst is innate, but you can still self destruct by going into the desert without water. For example, X is a desert of confusion. Lee. Yeah, X is pretty problematic. I never really dealt with X. Um, Never interested me. It's not really my kind of platform. I don't typically post short little quips. I mean, I have in the past. It just doesn't appeal to me. It's so much easier for me to say what I think and put it out there. People have suggested I should go on Blue Sky. I do have an account there. I haven't really posted anything. I was going to post a video, and then I found out the maximum length for a video would be 60 seconds. Now, all of my things for TikTok and YouTube are well past 60 seconds. So that means I'd have to record and post separate types of videos, redo the videos and shorten them up. Not real excited about doing that, especially if I'm joining a platform where I really have no following there. I don't know if it's the future. Maybe I should. Seems like a perfectly nice platform. And it was created by the man who created Twitter as kind of competition to Elon Musk. So I'd like to see it succeed, and I'll try to figure out best ways for me to post on Blue Sky, and I'll give it a shot. See what happens. I do post on Threads now fairly frequently. It's okay. The things I get the most action out of are TikTok and YouTube. Those are kind of my main focal points. But anyway, next one says, Morning, Mike. I just finished listening to your podcast with Old Soul this morning, and I just have to say how disappointed I was in your naivete. It showed how ignorant you are as an old white guy sitting safely in your condo in Minnesota. Well, you didn't listen to everything I fucking said. I was trying to make a point. I am an old white guy sitting in my condo in Minnesota. And compared to a lot of these minorities or women or whatever, women of color, men of color, I am fairly safe because I am this big, dumb white guy. But you missed half of what I fucking said. What I also said is because I am one of those guys and other people like me, we need to look out for those people that are marginalized. They aren't going to have the access or the safety that we will have. So in this day and age, we've got to fight for those having a more difficult time to fight. I am what I am. And if you don't like that, I don't give a fuck. I made a observation, which is true. And if you don't like that, I don't give a fuck. But to suggest that I'm naive to whatever else is going on, Jesus Christ, I've been doing this for 4 fucking years. Have you not listened? If you don't know who I am by now, you maybe better go off to another podcast because I don't know what to fucking tell you. Goes on, wake up. This election showed how hateful most people are towards women and especially black women. As a Democrat and a white woman, I'm appalled at our country and especially white women. The record shows they only thought about themselves in this election by voting blue down ballot and then voting for the orange stain. I'm disgusted. Yeah, we're all disgusted. 53% of white women voted for Donald Trump. You know what's even more disgusting? And this is going to sound racist, but hold on. 60% of old white men voted for Donald Trump. You fucking piece of shit old white men. Now try to cancel me for ripping on old white men. I'm one of them. Yeah, there's a lot of disappointments out there. It's unexplainable. It defies logic. But yeah, I'm aware. And then she goes, but you have no idea what is going to be unleashed towards women, considering Donald Trump and the Taliban are bosom buddies. Oh, I don't know. What have I been yelling about for fucking 2 years leading up to this election? I know very well what's going on. I bet you I've read into all these things much deeper and much more frequently than you. I know very well. And to suggest I don't, that shows your naivete. Like Old Soul said, who is going to stop them from implementing their archaic rules? The guardrails are off. The laws and regulations that stood before have been stripped. And if you don't see this, you're more naive than I thought. No, you're more naive. We talked about this with Eric yesterday. You're a typical Chicken Little that says the sky is falling, the world's going to end, we might as well go in the corner and cry. And as Eric and I talked about yesterday, that's not totally true. It's not going to be good, and Donald Trump is going to do some egregious shit. But we're seeing it already in the Senate when they put John Thune as the leader of the Senate, somebody who doesn't like Donald Trump, somebody Donald Trump doesn't like. They're talking about Matt Gaetz, where 30 members of the Senate will not vote for him. There are going to be some guardrails. They may not be as strong as we'd like, but there will be some guardrails, and here's why. Donald Trump holds no more value to them anymore. He got them the presidency and the House and the Senate. That's what he did. Now, at this point, he's a lame duck, and he's fucking crazy. So right now, he's a liability. They're going to pull him in some. Now, that's not to say that he won't do some crazy stuff, but I think to suggest the world is falling in on us is a little naive in my perception. It's a new world that really is an old world where white men rule. And as George W. said, if you're not with us, you're against us. We are not going back 50 years. They want us to go back before the Civil War, where blacks were not even considered a whole person and women had no voice at all. I've always tried to look for the light at the end of the tunnel, but all I see are dark and stormy clouds with hate and racism and misogyny. So what are you going to do about that? You're going to cry? You're going to run away? You're going to move out of the country? Yeah, we know what's ahead of us. And I don't think the world's going to end, and I don't think the sky is going to fall. Here's the thing. If you live in this world and you have zero hope, what's the point of going on? What's the point? At some point, you got to find some hope in some situations. And I'm afraid it seems like you've given up. And it ends up saying this: as an old white guy, you have no clue. You old soul, an apology for your lack of compassion. Just my opinion. But this will probably be another email you don't read from me. Listen, and that's Gina. Listen, Gina, I read all the emails I see. Do I miss some? Yeah, that could be. But it's been a little fucking busy the last couple weeks, you know? I haven't had a lot of chance to read the emails, and I'm sorry. You can call my programming department, my production department, and see where they messed up. And then you can file a claim or send a Yelp in or something, for fuck's sake. And by the way, I talked to Old Soul right after I read this email. I said, Old Soul, do I owe you an apology for our conversation? She goes, what for? And I explained the situation. She goes, Jesus. See, Old Soul and I are pretty close friends. She will say things I don't agree with. I will say things that she doesn't agree with, but we talk it out. We come from different perspectives. I'm a 64-year-old white man living in the Midwest. She's a 42-year-old black woman living in Las Vegas. We see things differently. Gina, I will tell you this. I would ask you this question. As an old white guy, you have no clue. You owe Old Soul an apology for your lack of compassion. Why are you listening? I mean, you can complain about the things I say or how you perceive me to think. Why are you sitting there listening to it? Why? You're upset because Donald Trump won and you want to blame somebody. And I'm not somebody. So go ahead, blame me. It's fine. I appreciate the email. But if you're going to call me out, I'm going to call you out. That's just the way this fucking works. All right. Next one says, good morning, Boomer. I look forward to all your podcasts every day, especially with Will. Today, he didn't disappoint. We're both Puerto Rican, and I feel damn near as angry as he displayed on your podcast. I think the worst Latinos that voted for Trump are the ones whom are naturalized citizens. They're under the impression they are safe. I have a Dominican friend who rents a room from me, and she is so proud that she voted her first time and that Trump won. I warned her of her repercussions. She said that at least men won't go into women's bathrooms. Yeah, that's good. I stopped talking at that moment. The sheer stupidity of people who voted for pervert Hoover is horrendous. My heart truly aches for this country. By the way, I like that term, pervert Hoover, and I got to give credit where credit is due. The man who coined that term was Hawk on TikTok. I have to stop watching mass media. It's complicit in what has happened and what is about to happen. I will listen to your podcast as well as others. Thank you again, Artie from Long Island. Yeah, I pretty much stopped watching mass media too. There's just no point. Sometimes I'll go online and check MSNBC just for headlines, but I don't read the stories. I'll get the headlines and go to places I trust. Sometimes I'll turn it on for about 10 minutes in the morning when I first get up, just in case I miss something overnight or somebody might have keeled over or something. I got my fingers crossed and I like to check. All right, we continue on. Mike, I have not heard anything about my earlier suggestion to begin an action group to fight back against Trumpism. I did hear you, Old Soul and Will all say that we should take a break for a bit, and that makes some sense to me. I'm very sad, though, that unless the House and Senate holds a vote to allow Trump to take office and he gets 74% or less of the vote from both, he cannot enter office according to our Constitution, 14th Amendment, Section 3. Please note, he was determined to be guilty of insurrection by the Colorado State Supreme Court. He's not going to run again. He's going to, first of all, he's not going to make it through the 4 years, whether it be his health, whether it be legalities, whether it be just mental incapacity. He's not going to, don't even think about 2028 with Donald Trump. He's not going to be a factor. If you think he's going to live to 82 and be in better shape than he is now, well, you're fucking fooling yourself. If this does not happen and he is allowed to take the oath on January 20th, 25, we are no longer a constitutional republic as we have been for the past 248 years. I also know that because he was allowed to be a candidate in the first place and not allowing him to take office will be messy in so many ways. I believe that we must do something and try to adhere to our Constitution. And if we don't, we will all be very sorry. You're all under the understanding that Donald Trump can just tear up the Constitution. That's not true. As I said, there's going to be some guidelines in the Senate. There is no value to Donald Trump in further voting because he can't run again. He won't run again. And all he can do is embarrass them now at this point. They got to take this time to try to regroup and try to bring some sanity back to their party. And they can't do it if they're going to let Donald Trump run roughshod. All right, the email continues on. I've sent emails to President, Vice President, Senate Leader, and others in the House informing of my opinions. I believe that it will take many people to do the same before someone considers this as Democratic leaders are weak and fearful. Please consider these words and read them to your listeners in hopes that a percentage of them make this known to the leaders. Thank you, Max. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think that we write letters and make comments. Part of what we do here on the Rational Boomer podcast is to get information out, get complaints out, get observations out to as many people as possible. And I think generally speaking, that's what you need to do. You need to talk more, you need to talk louder, you need to complain, you need to step up. You remember the reason we're in this situation is because people were apathetic and they let things fly, let it go any way they wanted. Now they're awake and now they got burned. So keep it up. Keep talking, keep yelling, keep screaming. And public opinion has a lot more power than you think. It really does. All right, the next one comes from Rodney. Hi, Mike. Gen X Blue Dot in Red, Ohio. These department head appointments prove that the incoming administration is going to be yes men to Trump. Lord, help us all. Thanks for trying to keep us informed, even though most of the country didn't listen. Okay, then back to drinking, Rodney. I appreciate that, Rodney. Yeah, these appointments are proposed appointments by Donald Trump. You're not going to see Matt Gaetz as the attorney general. It's just not going to happen. 30 members of the Republican Party in the Senate said no. They've already said no. Now, in the Senate, in order for somebody to be a Republican to be approved, assuming all the Democrats vote against him, they can't lose more than 4 Republicans. And they've lost almost 30. He's not going to get it. Tulsi Gabbard, she may have a similar problem. Hegseth for the Defense Department. He's a problem in the first place because he's basically a part-time broadcaster with some military experience, but there's something else that just came out, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So we'll be watching. We'll keep an eye on this shit. I want to have you folks avoid something bad happens and go, well, that's it. We're fucked. It's over. Really? Is that how you think? Is that how you live your life? Something goes bad and you just fucking give up? It pisses me off. I got to be honest with you. I thought we were made of better things than that. You can cry in the corner if you want, but I'm going to keep fighting. Until the day I die, I'll keep fighting. And in the end, if I don't win or I don't make any headway, at least when I die, I can say, motherfucker, I tried. I didn't give up. Do you want to be on your deathbed and said, well, I probably should have, but I gave up? Fuck you. Don't give up. Next one says, hey, Boomer, this election was one of important. Oh, I cried for 2 days and then I was sad. Now I'm just pissed off. I'm pissed off with all that didn't vote and pissed off with the Democratic Party, not Kamala. They constantly drag their feet and do not get shit done. I couldn't agree more. It's like they're afraid of what people will say. Then there is the Republican Party who doesn't give a shit with what they do. I really wish Biden would do something. He's not running again. Do something. I agree. Do something. Am I convinced that he will do something? No. They're going to try to get as many judges in as they can and let the shit fly with Donald Trump being president. Unfortunately, I don't know exactly what he could do, but you're right. He should do something. I also cannot watch any news, not anymore. They would toothpick everything Kamala did, but said nothing when the orange turd did stuff. I'm beyond pissed off. And that's where you should be, pissed off. The crying and whining and fear mongering. That's, we're done with that now. You had your moment to grieve. Now it's time to fight. If you're in this situation, see what's going on in Washington and you're not pissed off, there's something wrong. If you're not ready to fight, there's something wrong. The emailer goes on to say, I am a 56-year-old white woman. I voted for humanity, democracy, and so much more. I know so many are going to be hurt by what he does, and to those who voted for him, I wish hell for every one of them. I agree with you. For those who didn't, I'm sorry, but we shall get through this. I will not associate with anyone who voted for him. I don't care who you are. I'm with you there. As far as I'm concerned, they're dead to me. They don't matter. They're inconsequential. I'm not going to pay them any mind, given what they've done to this country and the people in it. All right. Wraps it up by saying, I'm also a British citizen who is a naturalized citizen. Will this plan affect me and my American-born children? Who the fuck knows? I doubt it, as the cost to do what he says is just too much. I live in a red state thinking about moving to California. Not sure if it's possible, but the thought is there. I live in Florida right now. Feel my pain. Enjoy your show, Nikki G. Well, Nikki, if you're British and you're a naturalized citizen, the question isn't whether you're from Britain or you're a naturalized citizen. Unfortunately, the question is, what color are you? Are you brown? Well, then you might have a problem. Are you white? Well, then you'll probably slip by. That's the unfortunate thing about this. This is largely to do with racism. And if they see another white guy walking down the street, they probably won't pay you any mind. You're a naturalized citizen, and a lot of these Latino folks, Cuban folks, thought because they're naturalized and they did it by the law that they're going to be safe. They're quickly finding out that that is not the case, and they're starting to lose their shit. That's why the top Google entry is can I change my vote? It just amazes me that people acted so proud, so loud, so sure of what they're doing. And the moment they do it and they see what Donald Trump does, I mean, he told you what he was going to do. You refused to listen or you couldn't comprehend it. But now you're going, oh shit, we fucked up. Yeah, a little late. There's nothing you can do about it now. You're going to cause a lot of people pain, but you're going to cause yourself pain too. And I'm sorry, I'm not as sensitive and sweet as the next guy. You fucking deserve it. You just deserve it. I mean, there comes a point where we can do all the things we can do. And then after that, we have to stand back and see what happens. If the place burns down and there's nothing we can do about it, all we can do is hopefully be able to pick up the pieces after it's done. That's a sad thing to say. People say that's not sensitive. I'm fine with that. Okay, tell me what we do. Except fight and talk and push and file lawsuits. We'll do all those sorts of things. But what else can we do to save people from them fucking selves? You know, it's hard enough to deal with the people that are innocent and try to keep them safe. I'm not going to spend a moment trying to save somebody from themselves. At some point, there's got to be accountability. And if you burn yourself down, fuck you. You deserve it. All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right. Continuing on. Next email says, hi, Mike. I enjoyed your podcast with Tony today, but I have to tell you that you're not old at all. Well, that's relative. It depends on who you're talking to. According to my granddaughter, to my kids, I'm old. To somebody who's older than me, I'm just a kid. But, you know, having lived 64 years, I know what it's like to be young, and I'm old, and I'm cool with it. I'm feeling pretty good for being old. I'm not sick. I'm pretty healthy. I can run. Well, I can run to the bathroom and run to the refrigerator, but I can run. So I got that going for me. Goes on to say, I know you're tired, and I'm grateful for your Herculean efforts for these last 4 years. It has been 4 years. I think Herculean efforts might be a little strong. I'm sitting on my ass in my living room, flapping my gums. It's not like I'm shoveling coal here. So I appreciate that, but I don't deserve that much credit. But please reserve your energy. Oh, trust me, I always reserve my energy. Take care of yourself because we need your voice for and unifying message. That being said, I think I speak for your entire audience in saying that if you need to take time off, we support you. If you cut back every other day podcast or time off here and there, we will be okay. We can adjust our expectations of you. I appreciate that, but that's not really in me to do that. I make a commitment to do something, I'm going to do it. And, you know, as I've said before, it may seem like a lot to some people doing the TikToks and the podcast. It's really not. I mean, there are days when I don't really feel it. But you know, the TikToks, if I do 4 or 5 of those a day, it takes me maybe an hour to do that. And then the podcast is an hour, hour and a half. Um, and we have guests half the time, so I have to work half as hard. That takes an hour and a half, 2 hours to get it done and put up. So it's not like I'm kicking my ass here and horribly tired. That's not the case. I mean, back when I worked in radio, I was on the air for 7 hours a day. 1 hour, that's no biggie. All right, it goes on to say, I am a white woman, Gen X, and I voted for Kamala Harris. I'm completely disillusioned and disgusted by white women. And you should be disgusted and disillusioned by white men, too. I don't know why they let white men off the hook. 53% of women, white women, voted for Trump. That's disgusting. But 60% of white men? Fuck you. After hearing Old Soul and the sadness in her voice, I am so sorry and ashamed. I truly thought that women would unilaterally stand up for our sisters from every walk of life. I realize now how wrong I was. I'm so deeply remorseful for my blind faith in women. I'm remorseful for my blind faith in the American people. I honestly believe that at this point in time, the fact that Kamala Harris was a woman of color didn't make a difference. It was more important the egregious shit that Donald Trump did. I was totally wrong. And because of that, I'm embarrassed by society in this country. I carry on in my job working with immigrants and fostering their pursuits of the American dream. I will not relent. I will stand up for my brothers and sisters who are the epitome of true great Americans. I won't abandon them. I have many thoughts on the election and my own personal theories of how things simply didn't add up, but I will accept the outcome. One thing that I cannot accept is the void of service from Merrick Garland. Couldn't agree more. For 4 years, my very wise 83-year-old father has complained about Garland's lack of anything. True. Initially, I said, give him time, Dad. I said that too, but we gave him fucking 4 years, and that wasn't enough. I thought Garland was actually doing something, but my dad gave Garland a nickname, and after 4 years of complete incompetence, the name suits him perfectly. Rip Van Winkle. I agree with you. If anyone slept through their appointment, it was Merrick Rip Van Winkle Garland. Such a legacy. Take care, Mike. Thanks for everything, and please give yourself some R&R. Gabrielle. I, you know, I, I don't lead a hectic lifestyle. I went over to my granddaughter's house and played with her for a couple hours. What else did I do? It was a little busy today, but generally it's not busy. My wife and I have a social life, going to family events now and again, but mostly going out to dinner. Don't worry about me. Me working too hard isn't something you have to worry about because I'm a lazy bastard. I've told you that. Next one comes from Bev. She says, hi, Mike. I know there has been some talk about what Kamala will do in the future. In California, the buzz is strong that she would be a great candidate for governor in 2026 when Gavin Newsom's second term is up. I'm guessing he'll make a run for the presidency in 2028, but time will tell. And that does sound like a likelihood there. Gavin Newsom will probably run for president, and he might be a great candidate. At least he's a white man, so maybe he has a fucking chance. And Kamala, as governor of California, I think she'd do a hell of a job. She would have been a hell of a president. So I have no qualms about her being governor of the state of California. I agree 100% that the Dems will run a white male in 2028. Sad that this is what it will take to help win because Kamala would have been an amazing and fair president. Couldn't agree more. She would make an exceptional governor for us in California as well. Yeah, this isn't the last we've heard of Kamala. Kamala is a great politician. She's very articulate, she's very smart, and she can do a lot of good things. She's 60 years old. That's not too old yet, but I think she has a lot of gas in the tank to get things done. So I agree with you, Bev. All right, the next one says, Mike, I heard you and Eric talking about the many reasons Trump won. I agreed with most of what was said, but I never heard either of you talk about what I believe are the two main reasons he won, which are the billionaires. There are 800 billionaires in the country, and many donate to political action committees for Trump. This is why the first goal needs to be end Citizens United and pass a campaign finance reform package to solve our billionaire problem. This will take greater thought by many people. Well, and it's going to take a better Congress than we have now. That isn't going to happen. But keep in mind, in spite of those billionaires with Donald Trump, Kamala did out fundraise him. And that money she got came from small donors. So that quantified out to more votes. Yeah, we do have to end Citizens United. But I don't think money was a problem for Kamala at this point. She had a lot more money than Donald Trump in spite of those billionaires. Number two, the media, which needs to be regulated to develop and implement laws to meet legal and ethical standards, to provide definitions of news versus opinion while also prohibiting any form of disinformation or misinformation. Couldn't agree more. And we had that kind of regulation with the Fairness Doctrine, but great and powerful Ronald Reagan got rid of that. And again, because of the way Congress is now, I don't think you're going to see anything happen while Republicans have any kind of control. All of this is only if he didn't cheat, because as we know, that the last time he attempted cheating in 9 different scams. Well, we know he did cheat. It's how effective he was in cheating here. So I'm fairly certain that he did this again, but with much better ways to not be detected, i.e., he hired someone who could possibly do this for him. Remember the billionaires. They are who need to be limited as much of how much power they can have over the, uh, excuse me, 3,331,000 ish rest of us, Boris. Well, I agree with you, Boris. It's a lot we need to do, but as long as they keep electing Republicans into Congress, it's hard to get anything fucking done. We got to win the elections in 2026, and then we can fix this shit. Hey, Boomer, like your other listeners, I'm disgusted with the outcome of the election. So here are my thoughts about the psychosocial state of our nation. Fascism is a cancer that has been part of this country since its founding. We have managed to hold it in check for over 240 years until now. The arc of the moral universe only bends towards justice after hate exerts so much pressure that it shocks the national conscience into change. Our history is rife with it. Post-election pundits try to explain why the orange blabber turd won't be able to destroy democracy, even though he does not operate within the rules of the law. He will hire or deputize anyone he thinks will carry out his orders despite any administrative, legislative, or judicial procedures. What will happen? He will fuck up starting day one and every day thereafter. Our system of government will be irreparably changed. It will be changed, but I don't know that it'll be irreparable. Is it ever been irreparable? We've been in some pretty tight situations. I don't know. Remember the Civil War? That was pretty irreparable at the time, but we came out of that. The economy will suffer through corruption and brain drain. Ethics will be a distant memory. Millions of people will be horrifically affected by his policies. Our international alliances will crumble. The UN will focus more on nuclear. And in January 2025, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists will move the doomsday clock closer to midnight. I believe Dems lost because of 2 primary reasons. They couldn't bring him to trial in 4 years. I'll agree with you there. Even with clear evidence, he would have been found guilty and incarcerated, but we witnessed the subversion of our legal system, morale standards, and goodwill. The fact is a blow to our integrity to the world. I don't think Joe or Kamala will exercise any of the powers bestowed by SCOTUS before J20, but I believe a sociopath with no empathy will. And I will agree with you. I think the fact that what we found with Donald Trump in office and out of office, we found out that the DOJ has no teeth, that Congress has no teeth. And this whole notion that no one is above the law is categorically bullshit. There are people above the law, a sitting president, members of Congress, and anybody with $1 billion or more. That's who's above the law. And that's unfortunately the way it is. Number 2, they couldn't frame the narrative to the useless idiot's fitness for office. Any ordinary, reasonable, prudent person should recognize that he is a malignant narcissist, Machiavellian psychopath. But too many people are in too deep to believe he's anything but divine. They can't or won't see the evil lies in such a man. If they did, maybe they would have realized no other campaign argument was warranted. There is no policy issue that matters after a psychopath. He will never grow a conscience. Barry Goldwater would have been offended. So after 4 years of recovery under Joe and Kamala, our DOJ couldn't make our legal system bend the arc toward justice. Now they will simply bend over and take it up the arse. The U.S. may be the most powerful nation in the world, but it is now the least respected. At such a climate breaking point, I fear the worst. We may never get another chance to save our planet, but we must try to save what we can by educating people who were unaware of the inherent danger of electing a felon, fraud, and rapist. We must try to strengthen our national character, to seek out the better nature in people, and to cure our country of this hateful scourge. But first, We steel ourselves for a shock to the national conscience. Respectfully, Udge. Well, thank you, Udge. I appreciate that, and I understand your point of view. And as much as you sounded like a fatalist in the beginning, at least you acknowledged toward the end that we got to do something. As much as you think there's nothing left to do, you better find fucking something. And we will find something. Something will be done. Donald Trump will get in office. He'll spew these things he spews. He will try to make decisions that he's known to make. But let's remember this. Remember back in the term where he was president, he always fucked up. He always failed. What did he accomplish between 2017 and 2021? Tax cut for the rich? What else? He did come up with warp speed to get vaccines for COVID after he fucked up COVID. But when he got the vaccines, he had no idea how to distribute it. It took Joe Biden coming into office to get the vaccines to all of us. Donald Trump fucks up all the time. He will continue to fuck up. So to think he's going to be this destruction machine going through everything, I don't necessarily agree with that. All right. Next one says, hello, Mike. I hope this finds you and yours well. My name is Steve. I am from Chicago and currently live in Northwest Indiana. I have stayed in a few other places in my time. Well, as you always say, you're just an old 64-year-old white guy. Well, I'm a 67-year-old white fuck. I'm a retired railroader. My sister Cheryl emailed you and heard you read her email on her podcast, on your podcast. We both think very highly of you and have shared your podcast with others. You're real and you tell it like it is. You don't sugarcoat shit. It's the only way to be. You have helped us all. Well, I appreciate that. And fuck what all them people say. How could they blame you? You're looking at the facts at logic. Don't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. In terms of the election, I thought it was weird. The numbers didn't seem to add up. Yeah, me too. But we need facts and have none. So we've lost and we have to regroup. I'm not a conspiracy theorist like the Trumplefucks. Hey, maybe it was just Jewish space lasers. I love the word Trumplefuck. I use it now, and so does Cheryl. I used MAGA fucks or MAGA morons. One thing about those fuckwads, they are pussies. I called out a few, and they curl up like little puppies. Don't want to get into any trouble. Now, like you say, don't engage, and I don't give them a pass. We'll never talk to them. I feel like they let us down, the people. I want to go out and talk to folks. Fuck, some didn't even know who was running. Not much more than knowing who Kamala was. As one of my buddies says, you can't fix stupid. I'm like you and tell everyone I can or cannot listen to the media and don't buy from the places that support that orange turd. Home Depot, I told, was one of them. I want to say thanks for reading my email. I enjoy everyone on your podcast. I was fired up like Will. Listen to Old Soul. God bless that lady. It was Eric today. It was a great conversing with a real man. I wish we lived closer. God keep you and your family safe and keep up the good work, my friend. Steve. Thank you, Steve. And thank you for all the emails. And just going back to the lady who says, you didn't read my emails. Listen, I get a lot of emails. I try to keep track of all of them. I try to keep them in order so that I read them in the order that they come. Is it possible that I miss some? Fuck yeah. I'm just a big old dumb white guy. And I do the best I can. You know, I'm not like Joe Rogan or even media or Midas Touch. It's just me doing this. I don't have a producer. I don't have a helper. I don't have an assistant. It's just me. So there will be from time to time a fuck up. And we'll have to deal with it. My wife has dealt with it for 41 years. You can deal with it for a fucking hour a day. All right. Let's talk about some news stories. We've been hearing a lot about Matt Gaetz as a proposed candidate or nominee or the attorney general. And I'm here to tell you that's not going to happen. The Republicans in the Senate pretty much said that. But there was something else about Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz resigned quite quickly, within a week after getting reelected. That seems strange. Now, they tried to make it appear as though that, well, he did that because he's going to be the attorney general. No, you're not, motherfucker. You're not going to be the attorney general. And it turns out that wasn't the fact. The fact is that there was an investigation by the ethics committee in the House as to his activities with drugs, sex trafficking, sex with underage girls. That report was to come out Friday. Now, much like all Republicans, Matt Gaetz decided he'd try to game the issue. And so that's why he resigned, because once he resigned, technically they don't have authority over them, and presumably that would mean that they would not release the report. That's still up for debate. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, said, "Yeah, don't release the report." Really, Mike? What are you hiding? I thought you Republicans were all about transparency. If he did something wrong, shouldn't we see it? Is the reason you don't want people to see it is because he's the Lord and Savior's choice for AG? And can we assume that if there is some illicit and egregious shit in there, that you then support it by wanting to keep it quiet? I mean, have you looked at yourself? Go look in the mirror. That's one creepy looking motherfucker. Who knows what you do behind closed doors besides besides monitor your kids' porn use, and he monitors yours. That's weird. That's a little weird. A woman who appeared before the House Ethics Committee in its investigation of then Representative Matt Gaetz claimed that she witnessed him having sex with a minor. Gaetz, who has faced accusations of sexual misconduct and illegal drug use, resigned from Congress on Wednesday, soon after President-elect Donald Trump named him as his pick for the U.S. Attorney General. His resignation ended the investigation, although a report of the committee's findings was set to be released on Friday, which it wasn't. An attorney for two women who testified before the committee for its investigation said he wants the committee to release the report. House Speaker Mike Johnson, of course, said, "Yeah, no, don't do that." The attorney told ABC News that one of the women said she actually saw the congressman having sex with a 17-year-old girl. My client testified to the House Ethics Committee that she witnessed Matt Gaetz having sex with a minor. Florida Attorney Joel Leopard said, according to ABC, the Justice Department dropped a years-long sex trafficking probe of Gaetz in February of 2023. That's another thing I have to ask Merrick Garland. If there is information that's damning enough for the Ethics Committee to come up with, damning enough for Matt Gaetz to resign, damning enough for Mike Johnson to say, keep it hidden, how is it the DOJ couldn't find enough on him to indict him? A spokesperson for Gaetz told ABC in response to Leopard's claim, Merrick Garland's DOJ cleared Matt Gaetz and didn't charge him. No, they didn't clear you. They didn't charge him. But again, Merrick Garland has been known for not charging motherfuckers that need charging. Again, another complaint about Merrick Garland. And then after Gaetz says he didn't charge him, he was asked, "Are you alleging Garland is part of the cover-up?" No, I don't think he's part of the cover-up. I think he's just a weak-ass, pussy-ass bitch that is afraid of his fucking shadow. And he had no business being the attorney general. And as I said before, House Speaker Mike Johnson said Friday he will strongly request that the Chamber's Ethics Committee not release its sexual misconduct report on Matt Gaetz, falsely claiming it's not the way we do things. Oh, really? You had investigation after investigation. You would have released evidence on Hunter and Joe Biden if you fucking had any. It's exactly what you dumb fucks do. And I still would love to ask Mike Johnson, what are you afraid of? What the fuck are you afraid of? Here's the thing. My guess is the House of Representatives will not release that report. Now, people in the Senate, senators are saying, Republican senators are saying, yeah, we want to see it. We've got to decide whether he's going to be an AG, and he's not going to be an AG, but we should see the report. We'll see if they get the report. But I'll tell you this, if they don't get the report, if the House doesn't release the report, somehow, some way, that motherfucker is going to leak. And if you don't think it's going to leak, please explain to me, how do we get those leaks that we got from the U.S. Supreme Court? It's tougher to get a leak from the Supreme Court. So this shit will leak out. There's enough people in the House of Representatives, Republicans, that don't like this motherfucker in any way. He doesn't have a friend in Congress. It's going to leak. It should leak. And it's ironic that Donald Trump would try to hire another pedophile, suggesting Donald Trump is one too, to lead the Department of Justice of all things. This guy was being investigated by the Department of Justice, and now they want him to lead it. Honestly, believe that that's not going to happen. It's either a diversion thing for Donald Trump, or he's just going to fail miserably. Donald Trump's setting up a test for Congress to see if he's in control. And then he's going to threaten them when they don't do it for him. But he wants to control the Senate and the House and the DOJ and the Supreme Court. That's what he wants to do. But again, Donald Trump is a fuck up. We know that for sure. He always fucks up. And if you think back to his term, you think about all these disastrous things he's going to do in this term. Go back to that term. He did some fucked up things like calling COVID a hoax. But over and above that, he broke some laws, as he is wont to do. But he was pretty much held in check by even the Republicans and the Democrats when they got some power. Democrats will likely get some power in 2026 because in the next 2 years, Donald Trump and the Republicans will fuck up horrifically. But people always give Donald Trump too much credit. When he says something, Democrats will repeat it as if it's real. Real as it can be, coming from a pathological, lying, sociopathic narcissist. Most everything that Donald Trump said is not real, nor does it have substance. So why are you crying and whining about it? Let's just watch Donald Trump fuck up, because that's what he will do. And the fuck up will bleed over into the Republican Party. And then come election time again, people are going to go, wow, this isn't what I expected, because they're stupid. They should have expected it, but they don't. Now, speaking of sexual predators, President-elect Donald Trump picked somebody to lead the Defense Department. Longtime Fox News personality, Pete Hegseth. Now, Pete Hegseth isn't even good enough to be a full-time personality. He only works the weekends. He's a part-timer. He can't get a full-time job at Fox, but you're going to put him in charge of the Defense Department. Well, here's the interesting thing that may cause Pete Hegseth some problems. You see, they don't vet these people. They just pick whoever Donald Trump's friend is. And again, like I say, Donald Trump fucks up because you see, Pete Hegseth was accused of sexual assault during a Republican women's conference back in 2017. The city of Monterey, California confirmed Thursday that Hegseth was involved in a police investigation of the assault, which allegedly took place at the Hyatt Regency Monterey Hotel and Spa during a convention hosted by the California Federation of Republican Women. Kind of sounds that Lewandowski guy, doesn't it? Where's he now? You don't hear much out of him, do you? The unnamed victim suffered contusions to her right thigh, and in the early hours of October 8th, 2017, the report noted, but no charges were ever filed. The woman came forward to file a police report 4 days after the alleged incident. Yeah, somebody got paid off. Now, according to Vanity Fair, Trump's incoming chief of staff, Susie Wiles, was informed of the allegation on Wednesday night and brought it to Hegseth's attention the following day. He denied any wrongdoing, saying that the allegation stemmed from a consensual encounter, the magazine said. A consensual encounter where the woman ended up bruised. Excuse me, I don't tend to believe you. The city of Monterey maintains that it has no obligation to make the full police report available to the public. Hegseth's attorney, Timothy Palatori, who is also Donald Trump's attorney, who's a piece of shit, told HuffPost that these allegations were fully investigated and Mr. Hegseth, who cooperated with investigators, was cleared of any wrongdoing. I don't know that he was cleared. He was not cleared. The charges were dropped. The question is, why were they dropped? I mean, the woman had some bruises. Maybe she was physically threatened. If she was physically threatened, he certainly wasn't cleared. See, this is the funny thing about Republicans. They always do this. They have all these problems with sexual behavior. And then for whatever reason, somebody doesn't file charges. And why would they not file charges? Well, they're not filing charges because they're either been terrified by their assailant or they've been paid off. That doesn't mean you're innocent, motherfucker. It just means you're a slimy criminal sexual assaulter. That's what it is. And you can take a look at Mr. Hegseth, this dipshit motherfucker, the guy who says women should not be in the military. You can see he's a creepy motherfucker, just like Mike Johnson, just like Donald Trump, just like Matt Gaetz, just like all those motherfuckers. These are some creepy, creepy motherfuckers. Oh, man, it's getting late. I'm finishing this one up late because I was babysitting my granddaughter. I'm fucking tired. So we'll wrap things up. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen. I hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.